The year was 66 AD. The land of Judea lay beneath the iron shadow of Rome. Its streets echoed with prayers, its hills whispered the ancient promises of prophets. Yet its people groaned beneath the yoke of foreign rule. Taxes drained the poor, Roman soldiers mocked their faith, and the sacred temple, the heart of Israel, stood under the watch of heathen eyes. To Rome, Judea was a troublesome province, a land of zealots and prophets, always ready to ignite. To the Jews, Rome was not merely an oppressor, it was blasphemy, a boot trampling the covenant of their God. It began in Caesarea, when Greeks desecrated a synagogue and Roman soldiers looked away. Anger surged through the streets like wildfire. In Jerusalem, riots broke out, blood spilled, and the zealots seized the fortress of Antonia. For the first time, the cry rose openly, "No king but God." The impossible had begun. A small province had raised its hand against the mightiest empire the world had ever known. Cestius Gallus, Rome's legate of Syria, marched with legions to crush the rebels swiftly. His standards glistened as eagles of war, symbols of an empire that had never bowed. But in the hills of Beth Horon, the zealots ambushed him. Roman discipline broke under rain of stones, arrows, and fury. Thousands fell. An eagle's standard was lost. For the Jews, it was a sign of heaven's favor. For Rome, it was an unforgivable insult. The empire had been wounded, and Rome would answer with fire. In 67 AD, Emperor Nero sent his best, General Vespasian and his son Titus. With them marched 3 legions, iron walls of discipline, veterans hardened by wars in Britannia and Germania. They moved with methodical terror, razing towns, crucifying rebels, sowing dread. Every village that resisted was flattened, its people enslaved or slain. Slowly, factions of zealots turned on one another. John of Gishala, Simon Bar Giora, Eleazar, each fighting not just Rome, but each other. The city of God devoured itself, even as the Roman legions encircled its walls. And in the spring of 70 AD, the siege began. Spring, 70 AD. The Passover filled Jerusalem with pilgrims. The city, swollen to hundreds of thousands, became a fortress of desperation. Its walls loomed high, 3 massive rings of stone, each nearly impregnable. Inside, famine already gnawed. Zealots hoarded food, cutting down their own people as fiercely as the Romans beyond. But on the ramparts, watchfires burned, and defiance blazed. The city of David, they swore, would never bow. Titus, now commander, spread his legions like an iron net around the city. Siege towers rose, battering rams thundered against stone, and catapults hurled boulders that smashed homes like toys. Arrows rained day and night, until the very sky seemed hostile. Yet Jerusalem endured. The first wall fell, then the second, but the defenders fought like lions. Roman blood mingled with Jewish blood in the narrow streets, where each house became a fortress, each alley a grave. Inside the city, the true enemy was hunger. Grain ran out. People tore leather from shields, gnawed on bark, even on the bodies of the dead. Mothers clutched starving children, weeping, praying for deliverance. Josephus, the historian who watched from Rome's camp, wrote of unspeakable horrors, famine driving people to madness. Still, the zealots cried, "God will deliver us!" And the fighting raged on. Then came the moment that would shatter the heart of Israel forever. Roman soldiers broke through the inner defenses, rushing toward the Temple Mount, where gold and marble blazed in the sun. Titus, it is said, ordered it spared, but fury, hunger, its golden plates melted, its walls cracked, its treasures stolen. Smoke rose into the heavens, as if heaven itself wept. The city became a furnace, streets clogged with corpses, crucifixions lined the walls, and survivors were sold into slavery. Jerusalem was not merely defeated, it was annihilated. The heart of a nation was torn from its chest. For Rome, it was victory. For the Jews, it was exile. The city of God lay in ashes, and the covenant seemed shattered. Yet, in whispers and prayers, a vow remained. Next year, in Jerusalem. After Jerusalem's fall, the land of Judea was broken, but not silent. Across deserts and cliffs, small bands of rebels clung to hope. The greatest of these bands, nearly 1,000 men, women, and children, fled to Masada, a mountain fortress built by Herod the Great on a sheer plateau above the Dead Sea. To the Romans, Masada was a stone crown of defiance. To the Jews, it was the last sanctuary, a place where freedom might still breathe. In 73 AD, the 10th Legion marched, veterans hardened by endless conquest. They built camps at the base of Masada, walls to cut off escape, and siege works that scar the desert to this day. Day after day, under the burning sun, the legionnaires raised a colossal ramp of stone and earth up the mountain's side, dragging siege engines to the heights. Above them, the defenders watched, prayed, and sharpened their resolve. When the ramp neared completion, the defenders knew the walls could not hold. But rather than fall to slavery, they chose another path. Their leader, Eleazar ben Yair, gathered them and spoke with fire in his voice. "We were born to be free. Rome can take our bodies, but not our souls. Let us die as warriors, not live as slaves." The decision was made. One by one, families embraced, prayers rose to heaven, and flames consumed their stores. By dawn, silence hung over Masada. When the Romans breached the walls, ready for slaughter, they found only fire, ashes, and the stillness of the dead. Nearly all had chosen death over chains. Only a handful of women and children survived to tell the tale. The Romans claimed victory, but history remembers Masada not as Rome's triumph, but as the defiance of a people who would not kneel. With Masada's fall, Judea was silent. The land was emptied, its people scattered. Yet the story endured, whispered in exile, of Jerusalem's flame, of Masada's last cry. Rome had crushed the body of a nation, but the spirit of Israel, tempered in fire, lived on across centuries. Decades passed after Jerusalem and Masada, yet the embers of resistance smoldered. Rome rebuilt Judea as a province of its empire, planting colonies, raising temples to pagan gods where the temple once stood. But the memory of Zion, the dream of freedom, burned in Jewish hearts. By 132 AD, under Emperor Hadrian, tensions ignited again. Hadrian planned to rebuild Jerusalem as a Roman city, Aelia Capitolina, with a shrine to Jupiter where the temple had stood. To the Jews, it was an abomination. Rebellion surged once more. A man emerged, Simon bar Kokhba, fierce, charismatic, hailed by many as the long-awaited Messiah. He promised to restore the kingdom of Israel. His name meant Son of the Star, a symbol of prophecy and hope. Under his command, the rebels struck with fury. Roman garrisons were overwhelmed, fortresses captured, and for a fleeting moment, Judea was free again. Coins were minted bearing the name of Israel, the dream seemed alive once more. But Rome never forgot. Emperor Hadrian unleashed his generals, including the ruthless Julius Severus, summoning legions from across the empire. They fought not in open battle, but with slow, grinding destruction. One village after another was leveled. Forests surrounded, he fought to the death, and his rebellion was crushed in rivers of blood. The aftermath was devastation. Hundreds of thousands were slain. Survivors were scattered as slaves across the empire. Judea was renamed Syria Palestina in an effort to erase its memory. Jerusalem was barred to Jews. But though Rome sought to erase a people, it could not erase their faith. Across exile and centuries, the memory of Jerusalem endured. The Jewish-Roman wars had ended in ashes, but the covenant written in their hearts survived. From the fall of Jerusalem to the silence of Masada, from the hope of Bar Kokhba to the scattering of a nation, these wars were more than battles. They were the clash of empire and eternity. Rome's legions believed they had ended a people, yet history tells another story. Rome's empire crumbled, but the people of Israel endured, carrying the memory of Jerusalem into every corner of the earth.